Okay, today we're going to talk about properties of matter, and the information we're going to add to properties of matter are going to go into this foldable. This is your Shutterfold foldable that we made in class. You'll lift up the tab for physical, and you've got all this space to write physical properties of matter. Close that, and then open chemical, and you'll have this space to write the chemical properties of matter there. So, properties of matter are characteristics and or behaviors of substances that will help us to identify the substance. Alright, so we've already talked about this a little bit when we were discussing density. Density is a physical properties of matter. And these are characteristics or properties that can be observed without or measured without changing the sample's composition. Now, no new substances will be formed when you're running these tests. And examples will be melting point, color, solubility, hardness, boiling point, odor, and density. So if we wanted to find an object's density, we would take the mass and the volume of the object and then use the formula mass divided by volume equals density to find the density. Now, we haven't, by taking the mass and by taking the volume, we're not changing the compound's chemical structure, making a new substance by doing that. Solubility is the ability of a substance to dissolve in a liquid. Melting point and boiling point, these are different temperatures at which a substance changes for melting point from a solid to a liquid, boiling point from a liquid and it's changing to a gas. So we're talking about changes in state there, which does not change the composition of the substance. Alright, now, chemical properties of matter. This is the ability of a substance to combine with or change into new substances. The sample that we're using will no longer be that original sample anymore. It will change into a new substance when you run these tests. So flammability, reactivity with acids, the resistance of a substance to acids, reactions with other chemicals. So we've talked about how copper reacts with oxygen, forming copper oxide, copper 1 oxide or copper 2 oxide, and how it gives off this green tint. We've seen this in the lab with some of our pipes. Flammability is where you're catching an object on fire. Will it burn? Reactivity with acids. How does a substance act when it's in the presence of an acid? Any change from the original substance to a new substance goes under chemical properties of matter. Now, with both of these properties of matter, doesn't matter what the sample size that you're using is to run any of these tests, you will always get the same results of the test. And that's why they're great for helping us to figure out what substances that we have or we don't have. Now, we can classify the properties of matter into two groups, and you just make a table for this. And some of these properties of matter are considered intensive. The sample size used does not affect the test results of the properties of matter. So melting point, boiling point, density, flammability, odor, taste, hardness, all those, doesn't matter what size sample you have, the test results are going to be the same. So like for taste, you order a pepperoni pizza. So you take a bite out of it. It tastes like a pepperoni pizza. The second bite you take still tastes like a pepperoni pizza, even if that second bite's larger than the first bite. Melting point. You can take a small cube of ice, melt that ice from a solid to a liquid, or you can take a big chunk of ice, melt it, add heat, melt it, change it from a solid to a liquid. And each time you do this, since ice is water, water melts at 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit.